You're listening to Seraphina Speaks for Children Who Think, the show that delivers you my take on topics that are important. I'm your host, Seraphina Melina Durbin. Let's go right ahead to the show, shall we? The humble pyjama conquered the world. This simple drawstring item is a symbol of gender equality too. I'm Seraphina Melina Durbin, and this is Seraphina Speaks, a podcast for children who think. Pyjamas were originally known as Mogul's breeches because of their use in India, and they have been recorded as the uniform of Indian gentry and peasants. They were worn by men and women. The word pyjama comes from the Persian word pyjama, which means leg garment. Pyjamas are sometimes called gym jams or jimmies. Men first wore them as loose-fitting loungewear. They were a luxurious yet comfortable option for lounging about in until the beginning of the 20th century. By the 1930s, pyjamas became a sought-after garment by women from all walks of life. For wealthy women, the pyjama became the perfect cover-up at the beach. We'll return to this later. Important point, the pyjama is linked to the liberation of women, with pioneers in fashion making brave pyjama statements. The most famous person in the 1920s and 30s was Coco Chanel, a French designer, and one of the biggest influences in modern fashion. She was often photographed in her pyjamas, which she wore with her infamous pearls. What I wish I could ask her is this. Where do you store your pyjamas in the day, Coco? This is something to ponder. Take a moment. If you wear pyjamas or something in bed, where do you put them during the day? I was under the false illusion everyone put them in the same place. You might think I'm joking, but listeners, until recently, it hadn't occurred to me that there were options for this task. Here's my correspondent Raphael on what he wears in bed and where he stores his nightwear.
Hello, my name's Raphael. I wear shorts and t-shirts in the summer, and in winter I wear trousers and long t-shirts. I keep my pyjamas in my cupboard.
Thank you for sending in that voice clip, Raphael. Nice way you made a difference between summer and winter. In a cupboard. Did Coco Chanel hang her pyjamas on a special PJs hook in her bedroom? Or maybe she changed her PJs every day. I don't think either of these are right. I'm 100% sure Coco did not throw her pyjamas on the floor, which I guess some people do. Here's what I do with my pyjamas, listeners, and that's if I get out of them. I promise we'll come back to this point because PJ days are the best in my book. Anyhow, I get out of my pyjamas, bottoms first, then top. I fold them, then tuck them under my pillow, neat and tidy. They stay popped under my pillow all day. Where else? This is what I thought everybody did. I don't put my PJs in a bedroom drawer or cupboard because they're being used. It would be odd to wash them every day. Think of how much energy it would use. And my PJs would soon wear out too. I've tried leaving them hanging around on the bed or floor, but that isn't popular. And in the end, if I'm honest, I prefer them hidden under my pillow. Over to my trusty triplet brothers. Horatio, where do you put your pyjamas in the day?
I don't wear scratchy PJs ever.
Of course, for anyone with sensory processing issues, PJs can be horrible to wear. How about you, Montgomery?
If I'm wearing a onesie, I hang it up. If it's PJs, I put them under my pillow.
Interesting. Thank you. I'm turning the mic over to a new correspondent.
Hi, I'm Owen. I'm 11 years old and I live in San Francisco. I keep my pajamas in my dresser. I mean, where else would you put them?
But Owen, what if I told you some people keep them under their pillow?
What? Where? Why? What? Like a tooth for the tooth fairy? Are they waiting for the pajama fairy or something? Are they worried about people stealing their pajamas?
That's brilliant. PJs under the pillow does sound like putting them under there for the pillow fairy. It never occurred to me to see it like that. Your astonishment actually made me smile. Thanks, Owen. Listeners in the UK, a quick bit of translation. A dresser in the States is what we call a chest of drawers. Storing pyjamas under pillows turns out to be a rather British habit. Where did it start, do you think? But am I right, it's a British habit? Maybe you're listening in from other parts of the world and you tuck your PJs under your pillow. Send me an email at seraphina@seraphinaspeaks.com. Tell me. We'll return to pyjama talk. Next, info on a podcast I listen to and love. This week's podcast review is all about mental health wellness for kids. I recommend you listen to the podcast, Like You, Mindfulness for Kids. Here's how Noah, the host, describes it.
Hi, I'm Noah, and I host Like You, Mindfulness for Kids. I started this podcast a few years ago because I realized pretty much every kid I know is dealing with really big feelings, and I wanted to create a place where they could learn about themselves and their feelings while using imagination and having a good time. Big feelings could mean you sometimes feel nervous, worried, or scared, or it could mean you're so wildly excited that you can't sit still. We all have big feelings sometimes, and mindfulness is a good way to understand those feelings and what to do with them. On the podcast, we sing songs, say affirmations, and use our imaginations to learn about the world around us and the world inside our minds. It is calm and relaxing, but it's also a lot of fun. I hope you'll search for Like You, Mindfulness for Kids wherever you're listening to this podcast. Remember, there's no one better to be than yourself. Have a happy and peaceful day.
Thank you so much for coming on my show, Noah. What your podcast does really well from my perspective is help kids and older people learn to grow our self-esteem at the same time as having fun. Our stressy world can bring us anxiety and big emotions that go all over the place. Noah's podcast is a breath of fresh air and perfect for bedtime. Isn't his voice calming? Start with episode 59, which is called You Are a Superhero. Then search for other episodes you would like to listen to. It's such a soothing and self-caring show. Take my advice, listeners. There's another important pyjama question to consider. The head teacher of one British primary school asked parents to not wear pyjamas when dropping their children to school. She said they were setting their kids a bad example. She also said they needed to wear proper clothes so their kids' pride and academic achievement would increase. But in the past, daytime pyjama wearers were seen as trend setters. Pyjamas as daywear has ducked in and out of fashion through history. In the 1930s, women were not allowed to wear trousers socially, but yet would instead wear pyjama bottoms out. This was daring and adventurous. In 1932, two women wearing brightly coloured pyjamas caused a stir on Brighton seafront as they walked along smoking pipes. Can you imagine? What we need to ask ourselves is this. Is going out in your PJs at daytime really okay? And if not, why? Lots of people like to put on pyjamas as soon as they get home, but some would never want to be seen in pyjamas by other people. How different are PJs from other clothes that are okay to wear out of the house? Pyjamas are often made from comfy, stretchy materials that are ever so like leisure or fitness wear. Look at yoga kit, some of it's quite pyjama-like. With this blur between PJs and leisure kit, pyjamas have become an option between night and everyday wear. I won't lie, sometimes I have to be coaxed to get out of my pyjamas before we go out. And occasionally, quite often in the winter, I put a jumper over my cosy bedtime onesie and pretend I'm in ordinary day clothes. From the bedroom to the living room to the street. Does it really matter? Listeners, look out for the micro behind-the-scenes bulletin episode on this week's topic. If you'd like to join my correspondent team, first, leave a review for this show on your fave podcast app. Then take a screenshot and send it to me at Seraphina@seraphinaspeaks.com. That's Seraphina@seraphinaspeaks.com. Then I'll be in touch with you with more info about being on my show. By the way, if you're looking for an idea of what to say in your review, if you're like me, you go blank, even though you want to do this, Here's a question for you to answer in your review. I'd love to hear where you store your pyjamas in the day. Maybe you wear something else in bed. Tell me. Of course, you can always tell me which country you live in and what you like about Seraphina Speaks. Next week's episode is called Pyjama Weirdisms 2. I'll bring you more thought-provoking facts about pyjamas to consider. My wonderful correspondent brothers will be with me as usual, and I'll share another podcast I listen to regularly. I'm hoping you'll tune in. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, smash that subscribe button and tell your friends, family, and teachers to listen in too. Take care, everyone. Wow, I hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. If you like what you hear, click the subscribe button. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Don't forget to leave me a review at iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts, because then more people can find my podcast.